Welcome to This Week in Astrology. This is episode number 557 for October 26 through November 1st, 2020. This week's highlight is a Taurus full moon on Halloween, happening 3 days before Election Day in the US. This lunation features Uranus, bringer of surprise, shock, and paradigm shift, tightly conjunct the moon. I'll also talk about 5 bonus aspects not in my written forecast. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm your host, Benjamin Bernstein, broadcasting from thisweekinastrology.com. I simultaneously record these weekly forecasts as an audio podcast and a video, so you can choose whatever format you prefer. The video version includes detailed chart graphics, which you can also see in my written forecasts at astroshaman.com. This Week in Astrology is honored to be one of the internet's top 10 astrology podcasts. Check out our website where you can hear the show and subscribe to podcast updates. And if you have not already done so, be sure to click the link in the show notes for 2 chances to win a free Astrology Plus session with me every month. What's old as we come into this week? We have a waxing moon. We have Mercury retrograde through November 3rd, Mars retrograde through November 13th, and continuing retrogrades from slower planets, Neptune, Chiron, and Uranus. Let's get into our individual days, starting on Wednesday, October 28th. Our first bonus aspect is the Sun, quincunx, Chiron. Sun's at 6 Scorpio, Chiron is at 6 Aries. So if you just take the planets alone, Chiron is the wounded healer, the quincunx is adjustment, and this says there may be some shadow work kind of stuff come up. You might be in a position where you need some good mentoring or advice from people, maybe need some healing. Of course, you could be the one giving mentoring or healing for that matter. The sun's placement in Scorpio, a sign very much associated with shadow work, going into the depths, the unconscious, all that stuff that's been stored down there before it can come up and be purged, is also very reminiscent of shadow work. Chiron the healer, Scorpio, deep stuff. It just kind of makes sense. So this is suggesting that there might be a little more stuff than usual coming up to catalyze you and stimulate you. Of course, you can always use my healing invocation to be healed from that. I'll be sure to put a link to that in the show notes. Let's move on to Saturday, October 31st. As you can tell, I don't do every single day of the week. I just hit days that have juicy stuff going on. And here we have our headliner. A full moon shines forth at 10:49 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Again, this is Saturday, October 31st, Halloween. This is at 8 degrees, 38 minutes Taurus. Any Taurus full moon is great for release or adjustment in several areas. These include money, possessions, and self-esteem. Are you delighting your 5 senses with enough sensual experiences? Are you making enough time to be in nature and to just be? That's all Taurus archetype stuff. Aspects. This full moon standout aspect is an incredibly tight conjunction of Uranus and the moon. They are only 3 minutes apart. That's 1/20th of a degree, practically joined at the hip. Uranus can represent surprise, shock, paradigm shift, and revolution. And here it is conjoining this full moon 3 days before the US presidential election. On a more personal level, Uranus invites you to make all appropriate adjustments to embody his positive energies more fully. Embody your authentic self, follow your intuitive hits, and serve others with your special gifts and talents that you most love to use. On the low side, Uranus can catalyze anxiety, nervousness, irritability, and other jangly nervous system stimuli. Cultivate his high side expressions to minimize these effects. You may also find my embodied awakening invocation helpful since it neutralizes challenging emotions. There will be a link to that in the show notes. This lunation's second most powerful aspect is the moon's opposition to Juno. This powerfully energizes any committed partnership, whether it's romantic or platonic. Juno is in Scorpio, which invites vulnerable, authentic connection at the deepest possible level. This includes soul-merging sex, if appropriate. With Uranus opposing Juno, there's an opportunity for dramatic change in a committed partnership. On one extreme, this could be ending the relationship entirely. On the other, it could be taking a wonderful relationship to the next level of awesomeness. This full moon's final significant aspect is a trine to Vesta. What support are you giving to a higher cause that benefits others but doesn't directly enrich yourself? This trine supports easy, harmonious connection between you and this worthy endeavor. This full moon Sabian symbol is a Christmas tree is decorated and shines in the darkness. I'm inspired to look past the Christmas tree's associations with Christianity and commercialism to something more basic, its beauty. These crazy times we're living through have more than enough darkness, yet a single candle can illuminate an entire dark room. How much more luminous is a beautifully decorated Christmas tree, which stands here as a metaphor for you, radiating your love and light to those around you. If you'd like an easy way to do this, here's a simple invocation that will do the job. Say this to your higher self. Please flow the energy through me to serve the highest good of, and now you name whoever's receiving the energy. Then relax and rest in passive breath awareness. Your higher self will send the energy down into your crown chakra and out the front of your body. Your human self is just a glorified piece of pipe at this point. This invocation works best when you don't visualize or use effort to direct the energy. Just rest in passive breath awareness. Leave all the effort and details to your higher self, which can do this about a zillion times better than any human. The energy flow will naturally wind down when your recipients have received their fill. We have more going on also on October 31st, bonus aspect, Sun opposing Uranus. Sun's at 9 Scorpio, Uranus is at 9 Taurus. And really, I just talked about that. I talked about the lunation, the Uranus opposition, and I covered all that ground right there. So no need to go any further on that. Also today, on October 31st, there's a Sun-Jupiter quintile. Sun is 9 Scorpio, Jupiter is at 21 Capricorn. This is a lovely, magical, energizing effect. The sun is your identity and your vitality. Jupiter is like expansion, joy, enthusiasm, really awesome, uplifting energies. The quintile is magical. It's like fairy dust. It's like grace. And so just a sense of lots of cool, magical energy flow. And since the sun is in Scorpio, if you want to specifically use that archetypal energy, you could say, wow, I'm using this magical energy to go out and be a potent force for positive change, or I'm going to go deep into a transformational process. Halloween is a really good time. The reason this season is happening here, it's the time when the veils are super thin and it's easier to communicate with the other realms of consciousness. And therefore, it's a great time to do shadow work. All right, on to November, Sunday, November 1st. We have two more bonus aspects. Mercury square Saturn is the first. Mercury's at 26 Libra, Saturn's at 26 Capricorn. So at the most basic planetary level, it says, Mercury, are you having any blocks or challenges at Saturn in what you're trying to learn or communicate? You might, if it's appropriate, you might say, okay, I'm going to communicate this anyway, or I'm going to learn what I need to learn. Mercury in Libra can connotate communicating with another person. Libra is about relationship, and therefore possibly challenging energies in your personal communications. In that case, what can you do to bring harmony? Think about, am I just throwing this information out there in whatever old way or in anger? Or am I consciously crafting this energy and these words so that that person can most harmoniously receive them? That's the Libran way of communicating. And you can do it, in full integrity, not, using it to unfairly persuade. Just be harmonious and say, okay, I want to communicate this. How can I do it in a way that will be easiest for this person to receive? So that's some ways you can do that. Mercury in Libra could also be creativity. Mercury, of course, suggests creative writing as one possible thing here, but really Mercury is just expression outward into the world of any kind. So any kind of creative expression could be empowered by this. That's if you're really standing in your Saturn. If you're not really in your authority and your own strong self-direction, Saturn can be a problem. But when you finally do stand in your authority, you say, I do what I'm going to do. I'm my own authority. No one can say no to me. Then Saturn becomes your buddy and he gives you like wind in your sails. And he can give you a lot of perseverance and maturity and responsibility and time management. So Saturn's an awesome guy once you really stand in your own authority. All right, we have one other aspect here on Sunday, November 1st. We have Venus opposing Chiron. Venus is at 6 Libra and Chiron is at 6 Aries. So again, just planets. Well, here we go. The obvious way is Venus relationship, Chiron wounding or mentoring. So this says there could be some relationship challenge, or it could be a totally harmonious setup where you're just giving or receiving mentoring or healing with another person. Venus is juicy in her own sign of Libra, so she's very empowered. And this also could be creativity. Chiron is suggestive of mentoring. So maybe giving creative advice or receiving creative advice. There's a sense of fine-tuning or refining an artistic work, perhaps. And it could even be money as Venus, and Chiron, getting advice, financial advice, or giving financial advice, or adjusting your portfolio or your resources in some ways, another way that could play. So that is our aspects for this week. I'd also like to tell you that everyone is welcome to participate in most live Awakening Plus calls for free. These calls support your individual healing and awakening, and also support the current global spiritual awakening. Here are brief descriptions of our remaining October events. On Tuesday, October 27th, we have the event Individual Healings That Also Bless the Senders. If you find this confusing, because I said last time this was going to be at a different date, I did mix up my dates. The guest presenter was, in fact, on October 20. And if this is the only place you're getting that info, I apologize that I messed up the dates. But anyhow, the Individual Healings That Also Bless the Senders will be this Tuesday, October 27th, 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. You can support the individual healings of the people on this call and maybe even get one of your own. The magic of this process, inspired by Lynn McTaggart's Power of 8 protocol, is in the combined healing intentions of everyone who participates. Don't be surprised if you receive bounce back healing as you hold space for someone else. Happens all the time on these calls. We should have time for 3 or 4 people in the hot seat. Awakening Plus members will be given first priority. If time remains and no members are waiting, which has happened more than once, the hot seat will open to non-members. This call should roughly last 90 minutes or so. And every week, Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, we have New Earth support. We create our sacred container, invoke embodied awakening, and flow energy to support the more awakened new Earth currently blossoming. Our intention is always the same, but the divine keeps it fresh by providing endless variations on this amazing experience. Thankfully, one thing remains consistent: the personal spiritual upgrades and profound bliss we always receive. Those calls typically run an hour or less. Awakening Plus features at least 3 live streaming events each month, although we're doing lots of bonus events during the pandemic. Most are open to everyone for free. The archive of over 270 transformative events, each as powerful as the live event it was recorded from, as well as accountability partners in the forum, are available exclusively to members. Learn more at awakeningplus.com. Also, since this show moves into November, we need to announce our free session winner. That's Emile, E-M-I-L-E. This is the only Emile who is signed up on our new drawing system. And Emile, if you'll just email me, info@astroshaman.com, and give me your email, I'll confirm that's you, and we'll get you set up with your free reading. Congratulations, Emile. Thanks for being here. Once again, I'm Benjamin Bernstein with astroshaman.com. I can serve you with astrology readings, shamanic healing, awakening activation, astrological event timing, and one-of-a-kind life coaching. All my one-on-one services are equally effective in person or long distance, and I have dropped my rates significantly during the pandemic. I also offer an unbeatable price on SolarFire, the #1 astrology software for Windows. And as I mentioned, I run the Awakening Plus online membership for spiritual support. You can learn all about this and more at astroshaman.com. To get to the show notes for this episode, go to astroshaman.com/557. Again, astroshaman.com/557. Please reach out if you have any questions. My email is astroshamanbenjamin@gmail.com, and my number for voice and text, 828-338-9852. I would love to connect with you. We're wrapping up. Please do leave me a rating, review, or comment wherever you're getting this episode so that others who also love astrology and spirituality can find it. Thanks again for spending this time with me. Stay safe, stay healthy. I wish you infinite blessings as the stars light your way.